The scariest bill is usually not the one with the biggest number on it. It is the one sitting unopened on your counter, still sealed, still silent, still somehow powerful enough to ruin your whole evening before you even know what it says. Maybe it is a credit card balance you meant to handle last Friday. Maybe it is a medical bill from a hospital visit you barely remember because the pain was easier to understand than the invoice. Maybe it is rent, a car payment, student loans, insurance, utilities, taxes, or that one subscription you forgot existed until your checking account dipped under $50. Most people think the moment they stop paying bills, life turns into a movie scene. The car disappears, the landlord changes the locks, the credit score explodes, the government knocks on the door, and somehow one missed payment becomes the beginning of financial exile. But the truth is stranger than that. If you like calm, honest financial breakdowns with real examples, real numbers, and no hype, subscribe to the channel before we go deeper, because today we are not going to panic. We are going to sort the fear into a timeline. Here is the core idea. Not every unpaid bill is equally dangerous. Some bills are loud, aggressive, and embarrassing, but they move slowly. Other bills are quiet, polite, and easy to ignore, but they can take something real from you much faster. That is why personal finance for beginners often fails people. It teaches budgeting, like every dollar has the same urgency. But when money is tight, urgency is not about who sends the angriest email. Urgency is about what happens next if you do nothing. Think of your bills as 4 different doors. Behind one door is unsecured debt, like credit cards and medical bills. Behind another is secured debt, like your car loan or mortgage. Behind the third is basic survival, like rent, utilities, food, and insurance. Behind the fourth is government debt, like taxes or federal student loans. Each door has a different clock. A credit card might damage your credit if you let it sit long enough, but it usually cannot take your paycheck without a lawsuit. A car lender may not need a courtroom to repossess the vehicle. The IRS has powers a normal collector could only dream about. That difference matters. Let me make this real. Picture a woman named Erin in Ohio. She is 34, works full-time, has 2 kids, and brings home just enough money to feel responsible until the month gets one surprise too expensive. One week, the water heater breaks. The next week, her youngest needs an urgent dental appointment. Then her car insurance renews higher than expected. By the time payday arrives, Erin is staring at 5 bills and enough cash to cover 2 of them. This is where financial management stops being a spreadsheet and becomes a nervous system. Her hands know she should open the envelopes. Her stomach tells her to avoid them. And that is where bad money decisions usually begin. Erin pays the credit card first because the app is red, the email sounds angry, and the word delinquent makes her feel like she has already failed as an adult. She skips the car payment because the lender has been quiet. She lets the electric bill wait because it says she still has time. She tells herself she is protecting her credit score. But here is the part most people miss. Erin did not make the most logical decision. She made the decision that reduced the most shame in the moment. That is financial psychology in real life. Not candles, not affirmations, not millionaire mindset quotes. Just a tired person paying the bill that made her feel the worst. 30 days later, her credit card company might report the late payment if she still has not caught up. That hurts. A single late payment can drag a strong credit score down hard. But the credit card company still cannot tow her car. It cannot remove her kids from their beds. It cannot garnish her paycheck without going through the legal process first. The car loan is different. If she misses that payment and the lender decides she is in default, the vehicle can become the problem that walks away from her life while she is asleep. In many states, repossession can happen faster than people imagine. No dramatic warning, no long speech, just an empty driveway before work. Most people think the biggest danger is the debt collector calling during dinner. The real danger is usually the bill connected to something you physically need: shelter, transportation, heat, power. The things that keep your life functioning are not always the things that scream the loudest. That is the first rule of money management when you are under pressure. Do not rank bills by emotion. Rank them by consequence. What happens if this goes unpaid for 3 days, 30 days, 90 days, or 6 months? That question can save you from sacrificing the wrong piece of your life. The part people often overlook is that panic has a cost. Erin might drain her small emergency fund to keep a credit card current, then fall behind on rent. She might protect a credit score while losing the car that gets her to work. She might pay a loud collector and ignore a tax notice because the collector feels more personal. And after a few months, the damage no longer comes from one missed bill. It comes from the order, the sequence. The way one stressed decision creates the next one. That is how a normal household moves from a hard month into a debt-free journey that suddenly feels 10 years away. Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave a free checklist there so you can sort your bills by real danger instead of fear. And I'll include the private community details for deeper personal finance breakdowns without the panic. Now let's go deeper, because once you understand the timeline, you start seeing that every bill has a personality. Credit cards are loud. Medical bills are confusing. Utilities are slow until they are not. Car loans are quiet and sharp. Rent is formal and serious. Taxes are patient but not forgiving. A credit card balance can feel urgent because the consequences are visible. The app changes color. The minimum payment shows up. The interest keeps growing. But if Erin is choosing between the card and rent, the card is not the roof over her children's heads. That is not permission to ignore debt. It is permission to stop confusing noise with danger. Medical bills are another trap because they arrive with strange codes, unclear discounts, and numbers that look less like prices and more like punishments. A person can be financially careful for years. Then one emergency room visit turns their money management plan into a pile of paper. They do not know how to read. The first mistake with medical debt is assuming the first bill is the final bill. Many hospitals have financial assistance programs, payment plans, coding errors, charity care, and negotiated discounts. But people in survival mode do not negotiate. They freeze. They stare at the number and feel poor before they even ask a question. Utilities are quieter, but they teach a different lesson. A power bill does not usually destroy your life in one day. It builds pressure. One missed month becomes two. Two becomes a payment plan. Then the protection period ends. The full balance appears. And suddenly a small leak has become a wall of water. Car payments are where the math gets colder. A credit score can recover slowly. A repossessed car can break your week immediately. If that car gets you to work, to daycare, to groceries, and to the doctor, then protecting transportation may protect the income that keeps every other bill alive. Rent and mortgage payments sit even higher because shelter is not just another expense. Shelter is the base layer of your financial life. When housing becomes unstable, everything else gets more expensive. Storage fees, hotel nights, missed work, moving costs, application fees, deposits, stress. Losing a home is not one bill. It is 5 new bills wearing the same coat. Taxes and federal student loans are different because the government does not play the same game as everyone else. A credit card company has to chase you through steps. The government has tools built into the system. That is why the smartest move with taxes is often simple but uncomfortable. File, communicate, set up a plan, and never disappear. Here is the psychological trap. Most people know some version of the right answer, but they still pay the wrong bill first because shame has a louder voice than strategy. Nobody wants to feel like the person who does not pay back what they owe. Nobody wants to imagine being judged by a bank, a landlord, a collector, or even themselves. Scarcity mindset makes every bill feel like a test of character. You stop asking, what protects my life first? You start asking, what makes me feel less guilty right now? That tiny shift is dangerous because guilt does not understand interest rates, repossession rules, court timelines, or cash flow. Decision fatigue makes it worse. When you are tired, scared, and low on money, you do not make decisions from wisdom. You make them from relief. You pay the bill that gives you 5 minutes of peace, even if that peace costs you 3 months of deeper problems later. Loss aversion is sitting underneath all of this. Losing a good credit score feels like losing part of your identity. Losing the image of being financially responsible feels humiliating. So people protect the symbol before they protect the system. That is why someone can be broke, exhausted, and still make a payment on a credit card while ignoring the insurance bill that keeps their car legal. They are not stupid. They are trying to stop the emotional bleeding first. But the math does not care how it feels. Bills do not line up by shame. They line up by consequence. And when your cash flow is tight, the most mature thing you can do is not pay everything. It is to decide what must survive first. Think about it this way. Your financial life is like a house during a storm. Some problems are broken decorations, some are cracked windows, some are water leaking through the ceiling, and some are the foundation shifting under your feet. A credit card bill can be a cracked window. It matters. It should be repaired. Leave it long enough and the damage spreads. But if the foundation is moving, you do not spend your last dollar polishing the glass. Rent, mortgage, transportation, utilities, taxes, and insurance are closer to the foundation. They hold up the daily structure of your life. When those fail, everything else becomes harder to fix because now you are solving money problems without stability. Unsecured debt is more like a heavy piece of furniture blocking the hallway. It is annoying. It makes life harder. It can hurt you if you keep tripping over it. But in a true emergency, you do not carry the furniture outside while the roof is leaking. This is where the fantasy meets the spreadsheet. The fantasy says a responsible person pays the bill that feels most morally urgent. The spreadsheet says a responsible person protects shelter, income, legal safety, and basic functioning before they negotiate anything else. Comment traps below if you want the free checklist. I'll pin it in the comments so you can see which bills are loud, which bills are dangerous, and how to sort them before fear starts making decisions for you. The practical solution starts with one boring page. Write down every bill, every minimum payment, every due date, every interest rate, and every consequence. Not in your head. Not in a banking app you only open when you feel brave. On one page where the monster has to become numbers. First, circle the bills that protect your physical life. Rent or mortgage, utilities, food, basic phone service, insurance, and the transportation that keeps income coming in. These are not glamorous money management categories, but they are the floor. If the floor collapses, every other financial goal falls with it. Second, call before the deadline when a bill is connected to something important. Call the landlord before the notice. Call the utility company before the shutoff. Call the lender before the account gets worse. You are not calling to confess. You are calling to keep options alive. Third, stop treating every minimum payment like it deserves equal respect. A credit card minimum matters, but it does not matter more than the car that gets you to work or the roof over your head. In a true crisis, unsecured debt belongs at the bottom until the essentials are protected. Fourth, be careful with old collections. Before you send $1, know how old the debt is, whether it is still legally collectible, and whether a payment could restart a clock you did not understand. A tiny payment can sometimes create a very expensive problem. Fifth, build a recovery plan around cash flow, not guilt. What comes in this month? What must survive this month? What can be delayed, negotiated, paused, reduced, or moved? That is not a perfect budget. It is a financial emergency map. The deeper lesson is that debt does not just test your bank account. It tests your ability to make calm decisions while your nervous system is begging for fast relief. The person who survives a hard month is not always the person with the most money. Sometimes it is the person who refuses to let fear choose the order. The loudest bill is not always the most dangerous bill. Protect stability first, communicate before doors close, negotiate what can be negotiated, and let your credit score heal after your life is safe. So look at your own stack of bills. Which one have you been paying first because it scares you? Which one have you been ignoring because it stays quiet? Which bill is attacking your pride, and which one could actually attack your stability? Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave the free bill priority checklist there along with simple notes and private community details for deeper personal finance breakdowns when money feels tight. Not paying a bill is scary, but not knowing the order is what makes it dangerous. Once you can see the timeline, the monster becomes a map.